I'm Sam Sweeney and I'm a fiddle player. I got involved in Soundpost pretty much from the outset really, when Faye decided that Soundpost would be a brilliant thing to do. For the fiddle weekend, it was myself and Nancy Kerr, and we were sort of putting the whole thing together, and the whole idea of the Soundpost fiddle weekend, I guess, was the same kind of ethos that the Soundpost singing weekends have had, and the same that the full English weekend will have. Different way of teaching and exploring different ways of teaching folk music to different people, and not just your standard workshop environment, but kind of having discussions and debates and seminars and talks and different kinds of workshops and concerts and one-on-ones and all that kind of thing. My passion really is English tunes. I love English tunes, and they've been my thing really, discovering tunes that perhaps haven't been played for a very long time and unearthing them and sort of maybe changing them and rounding the corners off and taking them out of a manuscript and bringing them to life. Kind of the main way I've sort of found of doing that recently is with this new band that I've formed with Andy Cutting and Rob Harbour, and two heroes really of mine. Can't quite believe I'm in a band with them really. And I remember the moment I turned sort of from Irish music and thought, actually, do you know what, I'm going to play music from where I'm from. And it was I went to go see the English Acoustic Collective, which was John Dipper, Chris Wood and Rob Harbour. At the end of the gig, which was totally incredible, Chris Wood said, you know, all right Sam, you need to come on the English Acoustic Collective summer school. And so I did, and then that week completely changed my life really. And then I've been sort of in love with English tunes ever since. So in Leveret, what we do is we find these tunes. Some of them are well known, but some of them perhaps haven't been played for hundreds of years. What we do is we just find these tunes and send them to each other on our phones. And then we come to my house for curry and beer, and just sit in my living room and play a tune for like an hour, 2 hours, just one tune over and over and over again, trying to work out if there's anything cool about it. And that's effectively what we do on stage as well, just in a kind of much more condensed way. Every other band that I've played in has had arrangements. The way that Leveret work is we just take these tunes and we get on stage or get into a recording studio or whatever. For me, that's totally liberating. A lot of the Leveret repertoire comes from Playford, which a lot of people have that book, but you still manage to find tunes in there that no one's ever played, you know. A lot of the new stuff we're finding is in John of the Green, The Cheshire Way, which is this great collection of northwestern tunes put together by John Offord. Northern Frisk is another book that you can't get anymore, kind of old tunes from there. And then the Village Music Project, so I printed off as many manuscripts from the Village Music Project as I could and filled a whole thingy, Leveret file. The era of tunes that I love, really, are the ones that sort of start around the Playford time, you know, middle of the 17th century, and the ones that sort of go through to the kind of middle 18th century, I guess. Our friend Becky Price, who plays the piano chord, she puts it really well. It's like these tunes seem to come from a time when folkies and classical musicians used to go to the pub together and come home wearing each other's trousers, kind of thing. I think a lot of the tunes, some people on Leveret tour said, you know, we sound a bit like a classical chamber group at times. And those are the tunes that really float my boat at the moment. in terms of the full English weekend, I'm going to take a group of people, I'm going to take some of the tunes that are in the full English archive and work out with the people in the workshop how we go from looking at something on a page that perhaps looks really boring and perhaps is boring, deciding if we like the tune or not, getting it off the page and looking at ways of making it come to life through, different ways of playing, or potentially changing notes, changing passages. And as long as the kind of markers of the tune are still there, you can play a totally different version, it's still that tune. And so I think people shouldn't really be afraid of rounding the corners off tunes and going, actually, do you know what, that bit's rubbish. Or, I'm going to play this note instead of that note because it's way better. And the tune is still there, and the tune is always still there on the page after you finish with it. And it will be, until the universe doesn't exist anymore. So I think messing around with tunes and finding your own version of a tune is incredibly important. And then they go, oh, that's Sam's version of such and such, or that's Nicola's version of such and such. Isn't that wicked? And then, and then you can teach those tunes. And maybe that's a tune that wouldn't have been played otherwise because it was rubbish. But now you've made it amazing. And maybe that's better. So, yeah, definitely finding your own way of playing a tune. Hopefully the aim is that people have a better, or a few sort of techniques and methods in their head so they can go home, look through a tune book and actually find some new repertoire and, expand their repertoire of English tunes.